Welcome to Backstory with your hosts, Mylars bandmates and lifelong friends, Quig and Danny. The guys have lots of fun episodes coming, so please take a second to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Now, here's your hosts, Quig and Danny.
Welcome to Backstory. I'm Quig.
And I'm Danny.
And on this episode of Backstory, we're going to talk about Route 22. When we started doing Backstory, we started to realize as the episodes went on that we had a real strange connection to Route 22. It seemed like we never got off Route 22.
Yeah.
And it starts with,
when the weigh-ins started first playing together. And I think we discussed this in an episode way back, in first episode actually. Route 22 is where we played our first gig as a band. The weigh-in played a place called Deja Vu, which was in Greenbrook, New Jersey, all the way up Route 22. It's still there, but I think it's like a pool supply place now. And yeah, so Route 22 has so many connections with the band. Route 22 is, a little bit of a crazy story. I mean, Route 22 has been voted the number one most dangerous highway in America like 5 years in a row. So it's not a picnic on Route 22. It's actually a crazy configuration if you think about Route 22, because Route 22 is the only highway that I know of that has stores on the right, on the left, and in the middle. There's not another highway I've ever seen that has this, and because of that, it's pretty dangerous. I'm not going to lie, but anyway.
When you learn to drive, that was like the gauntlet right there. You're like, I could do streets, but 22 is going to take a little guts.
I'm not going on 22, yeah.
So speaking of 22, so then next, we went in for our very first recording session together.
Yeah,
and this has a funny story because it didn't really start on 22, but it ended up on 22.
It was funny because I was flipping through an old Aquarian issue, which was the music paper in the state of New Jersey. And we were looking for a recording studio to do our first demo. And I saw Studio 22 was actually the name of the studio, right? But it was in Hillside, New Jersey. Right. And it wasn't anywhere near Route 22. It was very convenient for us to get to. And I called, I remember the guy's name was Stiv Stevens, right?
Right. And Bob was the other guy? Was it the...
No, Ed.
Ed, that's it. Right. Ed,
Stiv Stevens and Ed. Yeah, we called up and they're like, and Hillside was a town right next to where we grew up, so it was super easy to get to. And then we called him up. He's like, yeah, I'd love to book you. And we booked the studio, and then we realized, and then the last thing he said to us was, I'm not in Hillside anymore. I'm all the way up off of Route 22.
Right.
So Route 22.
Literally, like a quick turn, right in that area, sort of like Plainfield.
He was in North Plainfield. Yeah, right off of Route 22.
Like just came a little further down from Deja Vu.
Yeah, it was maybe, I think we migrated 5 miles. So we did, our first gig at Deja Vu, then we did our first recording session at Studio 22 in North Plainfield.
Remember your car overheated on the way home from that session?
My car always overheated.
It was funny because Lou and I got out of the car and we took a picture of you on the payphone calling your father with your car overheating it back. I don't know where that picture is.
Probably with a hose in one hand, right? We used to fill it up with cold water anytime it overheated and just try to get home. Oh, my God. Equipment sticking out of the back.
Then we drove up just a little further up 22 to, what, is it Scotch Plains?
It's Scotch Plains, yeah, right on that roundabout there. Citizens recorded their first album, our first record, at a studio called The Jungle, which was actually 1 block off of Route 22 as well. So yeah, man. That's...
Yeah, when you come out the front door of the studio, The Jungle.
Yeah, you're staring at Route 22.
You look right at Route 22.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, all 3 things, we just and then
we drive further down, into Union, back home to Union.
Oh my God, I can't even believe this. So then the next project we were in was Mystery Bloom, which had that, deal in Japan, and we recorded our debut record at Network Studios, which was also on Route 22 behind Rondo Music. So man, yeah, we just couldn't seem to get off of Route 22.
Well, we still can't get off of
Maybe
Route
that's
22.
why my car broke down all the time.
It never wanted to leave.
Yeah.
So when we started working on the Mylars album, Melody Records, we were writing for the record, and I was talking to a gentleman about he had an old car and he was taking it all around the country and how much he enjoyed doing it. He was retired and he was excited about it. And it was like a story that rolled around in my head. And then on a Sunday afternoon, I was on Route 22 and I pulled up to a red light, and right next to me was a 57 Chevy with an older gentleman inside, just out for a Sunday cruise in his 57 Chevy. And it like clicked. And I like kind of went home and wrote out Betty, Buddy, and Me lyrics of the whole story of him. You know, he possibly, my thoughts were, you know, what would it be? What's his day like? Or what's his thoughts like? You know, the 8-track of Buddy Holly, et cetera, and so on. And it all just kind of came together after seeing this car on Route 22. Mm-hmm. And then, funny story, then like after the Melody Records album came out, I went for a drive on a Sunday morning, and I went to see a what they call a muffler man or a giant. And he's out in front of Wilson's Carpet in Jersey City. And it's right under the Pulaski Skyway. And there's this little side street it's on. It's really quiet. And it was a Sunday morning, and I'm looking up at this giant. And all of a sudden, I hear this car slowly roll in front of me. And I'm like, oh my God, it's a 57 Chevy, and it's Sunday morning. I thought I was actually being punked. It was crazy. It was the story of Betty, Buddy, and Me. And then what was crazier is he makes a right into the parking lot and parks right next to me. He was the guy that owns Wilson's Carpet. It's his car.
It's such a great story.
So it was crazy.
Such a great story.
So let's hear Betty, Buddy, and Me. But before we do, that carpet man that I went to see appears in the intro of a show based in New Jersey. What's the name of that TV show?
Sunday morning, Betty's waiting outside in the drive. She's my 57 Chevy and I'm taking her out for a ride. Pushing my Buddy Holly 8-track, I love how it squeaks and squeals. And we'll drive real fast, don't go real slow, 'cause we ain't got nowhere to go. We don't need to place our show tonight. With the radio up and the windows down, easy sit back, tip my hat as we drive through this old town. White lines are all we see. Today it's just us three. Betty, Buddy, and me. A month of Sunday's gonna find my reason and rhyme. The engine and the music are humming and clicking in time. I got no destination now as I'm cruising around by feel. And we drive real fast, don't go real slow, 'cause we ain't got nowhere to go. We don't need to place our show tonight. With the radio up and the windows down, easy sit back, tip my hat as we drive through this old town. White lines are all we see. Today it's just us three. Betty, Buddy, and me. That'll be the day when I can do this all full time. Drive Betty around the world. We'll rev on every day, oh for my girl. Monday morning, Betty's covered outside in the drive. In a world where Buddy Holly's barely alive. Come Sunday morning, Betty's up and ready to go, 'cause we don't need to place or show. Spinning our wheels on the open road tonight. With the radio
Betty, Buddy, and Me. It's a great little story. So, what TV show based around New Jersey does that muffler man appear in the intro?
Do you know what it is? I know what it is.
I know what it is.
Actually, one of my favorite shows of all time. It was a show called The Sopranos on HBO.
And weren't you in an episode of The Sopranos, Dan?
Actually, I was. But I think we'll save that for another story.
And that wraps up this episode of Backstory. I'm Quig.
And I'm Danny.
And we'll see you next time.
Take care.
Backstory has been brought to you by Melody Records. We'll see you next time.